Welcome to Faces of Fleet, where we get to know the people behind the products shaping the work truck operations every day. I'm Lauren Fletcher, Vice President of Content at Bobbit, and I'm sitting down with someone who quite literally grew up with the fabric of this business, Sheldon Zitzmann of TigerTough. If you've ever pulled apart a truck interior after a long shift and wondered why every seat seems to have a personal vendetta, you're going to appreciate this one. Sheldon's family took over TigerTough back in 2016 with two goals: create seat protection built to survive anything tough for fleets that need it most, and bring back real jobs to their hometown of Vesta, Minnesota. Since then, the company stayed committed to hand inspected craftsmanship, all American made materials, innovation that actually solves problems, and a culture that feels more like a big family than a corporate org chart. I'm excited to dig into the story behind the mission, how a small town operation scaled to support fleets nationwide, and what's next as truck get a little bit more tech heavy and work environments become even more demanding. Sheldon, welcome to Faces of Fleet.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, Tiger Tough has strong family roots, both in how it began and how it operates today. How has being family owned shaped your culture and decision making over the years?
So going back to before we were ever even here, um, TigerTough was family owned, like literally from the very beginning. Guy that started it, him and his family started it, they grew it, and then, like you said, we bought it in 2016. But there's a couple of things I think about being family owned. One of them is decision making. It lets you make decisions much quicker because there's no massive corporate board in Manhattan that you have to send an email to get approval to, put new light bulbs in or something.
Right.
We can think on the fly, we can move on the fly, we can make decisions fast. Um, Actually, family owned was something we didn't promote a lot in the past because done incorrectly, I feel like you can sometimes get the vibe that it's dad and the boys, right? But that we did not want to portray that. We are family owned, and we're proud of that. I think it's cool. We've also got a ton of family that work here. You take, for one example, our production manager in the Twin Cities factory. Her dad and mom both work here. So we're family owned. We're also family operated by a lot of families. And one thing that we did have to learn is that being family owned, that where it could have been a detriment, is we had to learn to give up some control. So as we grew and as we started getting more and more people on board, it didn't really work to just grab the closest Zitzman when you had a question. So we to get around that, what we had to do was we put in a proper org chart and follow that proper org chart. And you can, like, if you look at the charts, you can totally see the change in performance when we did that.
And I mean, it's a testament to the company too when you've got not just your family, but as you mentioned, kids with their moms and dads. If you see something and your parents are happy and supported, and you're joining that same company, that really does say a lot about the company itself.
That's the goal, to be we want to be a good place to work.
So, when your family acquired Tiger Tough in 2016, one of your big goals was creating jobs in the local area in Vesta, Minnesota. How has that commitment to the community evolved, and what has it really meant for both the company, your team, and your local area?
Well, when that originally started, it meant hiring people from here. It meant bringing people into the factory in Vesta. Now, for those listening or watching or whatever that have never heard of Vesta, that's okay. There's less than 300 people here. I would be really surprised if you have heard of Vesta. It takes about 15 seconds to go through town on the highway. So when they say if you blink, you'll miss it, like, it's for real. Anyway, what I was getting at though is, yes, we kept manufacturing here. So we stayed in the same factory. We've since moved, but when we first came in, it's like, we're not going to pack everything up and ship it offshore. The people working here still had jobs, and we've continually brought people in. Now, how has that evolved? Well, when you're in a town of sub 300 people, there's not a lot of people to hire. So as we've grown, we did need more people than we could find locally. So we actually started a second factory up in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, Twin Cities of Minnesota. But we're still hiring from that area now as well. So that's how it's evolved, and how it stayed the same is we're keeping it local. We're keeping it made in the US.
It wasn't until you mentioned how small the town was that I realized where I think I knew the name from, and whether this makes it into our video or not. Wasn't it Princess Vesta from Spaceballs? Was the only other reference I think I know to that name.
Could well be. I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm gonna have to look that up after this one. Um,
That was actually my nickname in high school,
oh my
Princess
gosh.
Vesta.
So
No.
fleet managers are like really well, I guess it's not the fleet managers, the drivers are really hard on equipment, especially truck
Mhm.
interiors. How do you balance the precision and that hand inspected quality that you guys are known for with the demands of these larger scale fleet needs?
So I think it comes down to, for us anyway, using quality raw goods. So we're starting off with a high quality product. So like the actual raw goods that we're cutting and sewing are high quality. So we're starting off there. And then after that, it's like a tightrope walk between balancing ease of production, ease of installation, and fit. Because all three of those can negatively affect the other.
Yeah.
Because we can design a cover that putting it on the seat, and anybody who's installed our covers like 2010, 2012, it's like putting 5 pounds of potatoes into a 4 pound sack. It's not that much fun. That was a challenge that we had that we ended up overcoming, but there's a balance there between getting it to fit good so it stays on, and then it's not going to fall off, and then the drivers wad it up and throw it behind the seat. Then there's also the ease of install, because if it's not easy to install, it's not going to get installed right. So we work very, very hard to balance those two. And then finally there's the ease of manufacturing. So it's something that we have to be able to churn out a lot of, and not spend 11 days putting a headrest cover together.
Might not be so productive on that side. And I mean, you're right.
That's a
I've
fact.
I've I've got very inexpensive seat covers over time, and within a few days they're half off. It's not actually protecting anything anymore. And
Hmm.
it looks horrible. So you pull it off and check it into the back. But you don't want to spend 6 hours trying to wrestle with a seat cover just to get it to fit either.
Correct. So yeah, it's a balance, but it's a juggling act that we've got professional operations jugglers juggling.
I love the circus references. That's near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely.
Your products are built in the USA and you've got American made fabric. That's something that I know you guys really push. Why
Hmm.
is keeping production domestic so important? And what does that mean for your customers?
Well, I think it comes back to what our mission, like as a whole company, is to build a brand that blue collar Americans can be proud of. And there's two things that we have to do well in order to do that, we feel. One of those is to make the best possible of whatever it is that we're making. We make seat covers, so we need to make the best possible seat cover that we can. And the second is that we need to make it in the USA. That's like our two non-negotiables. So going back to like 2016, 17-ish, right in there, we had just launched our seat covers for law enforcement vehicles, and they took off way faster than we expected. And we got violently behind on orders and couldn't hire people and train them fast enough. So we actually started working with a company where we would cut all of our seat covers out, and then we sent them and had them sewn in Mexico for a very short time. And what was really eye opening is we had some customers, I can think of one upfitter immediately, but that placed his order and said, I want them to be sewn in the US. I'm happy to wait longer if it takes longer, but I want the ones that are sewn here. And that was eye opening. It's like, this is what people want. And to be fair, it's what we wanted too. And because as we were able to hire and train and scale up, we brought all the manufacturing back, and it's staying here.
Yes, I mean, important to pivot when needed, but it's a good problem
Hmm.
to have the demand out supplying so much that you've got to continue to grow. That's fantastic. I mean, with all of this, you guys have rolled out innovations like antimicrobial fabrics, making sure that the seat covers are working with airbags. What drives the innovation side of seat covers, and how are you figuring out what the fleet managers need versus what just kind of sounds cool on paper?
Well, the airbag thing is a safety thing, right? Like that, if we're going to cover up the airbags in a seat, we have to be able to prove that it doesn't impede it.
Yeah.
And we do. We've got plenty of lab testing that shows that, and unfortunately real life testing as well that shows that it works. But like with the antimicrobial stuff, we talk to fleet managers. We're at a lot of shows. We've got sales team is on the road constantly, and we're face to face with the folks that are actually responsible for keeping these trucks on the road. So yes, there have been ideas that we come up with that sounded really cool in the boardroom, but in real life, nah. And so that's that's really we're talking to the fleet managers, figuring out what they want. And you might say antimicrobial seat covers. I mean, fleets have existed for however many years without antimicrobial seat covers. Is that really something that we need? For some fleets, no, it's not. For other fleets, yeah, there's some of the biggest fleets in the US right now that are using them because they're hot seating vehicles and they want to, that's a big thing for them. Just any little extra bit to cut down on the transfer of germs between drivers.
Yeah, a
So
sick
boom,
driver
there we
is
go.
not a driving driver.
No.
And I mean, with that, you've had me take a weed whacker to your seat covers. They are literally tough. That's got to be a challenge to make sure that they're also able to work with airbags while at the same time holding up to someone like me with a weed whacker on it.
Exactly. Yeah, we make them tough, but weak in the right spots.
That's a science right there for sure. So, as that family owned business, kind of bringing it back to that, what values or priorities do you feel really set you guys apart from some of the larger corporate manufacturers in the fleet space?
Well, values wise, the values we preach here are humble, hungry, kind, and confident. Those are the only people we want on our team. If someone's not one of those, if they're not hungry, humble, kind, or confident, they're really not going to fit in very well. Um, that's what we value. It's what we hold near and dear. But other things that set us apart, I think, is that we are a relatively small team compared to the giant companies that are out there, and that allows us to, as I alluded to earlier about being family owned, but coming back to this, is it lets us move quickly. It lets us color outside the lines when we need to, because I mean the sales team on the floor here is a 3-minute walk from research and development.
Hmm.
So if all of a sudden they get a, you know, again, talking to a fleet manager says, this is what I really need. It's like, cool, let's see if we can do that. So I think that, being family owned, being a smaller team lets us pivot and lets us, think outside the box or throw away the box completely.
And looking forward, how do you see TigerTough continuing to support fleet managers as trucks keep getting more tech heavy, our work environments become more demanding? How are you guys going to keep helping them do their jobs?
As long as there's butts in seats, we'll be there. We'll be there covering the seats. Really though, as long as there's people in the seats, as long as there's people getting dirty on a job site day to day, we'll be here. Will there be more products in the future? Maybe, but adapt, figure out what the world needs, and then make it in the U.S.
And one that I just can't help myself with. I know I follow you on social, and you have some fantastic social videos calling out our confident commenters that definitely make me laugh. So I have to ask, if this interview had showed up in one of your comment sections, how would you respond to
I'd probably be like, "What the heck happened to that guy's hair?"
it? And I think I'd make sure everybody knows that pants are required when putting butts in seats.
Yeah, strongly recommended for sure.
Well, Sheldon, I cannot thank you more for sharing the heart behind TigerTough and giving us a closer look at what happens when craftsmanship, community, and a ton of determination are all pulled in the same direction. I love getting to spotlight the people who are out there solving the real problems that our readers and viewers are facing every day. So, for everyone watching, if you want more information about TigerTough, we'll make sure to drop the links in the comments and descriptions below. If you want more Faces of Fleet conversations or the latest Truck Chat episodes, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button and tell me who you want to see in our next interview. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I'm Lauren Fletcher, and I'll see you on the road.